Limitless is not just defense, it changes the feeling of distance. This is not an official explanation of the series, it is an unofficial culture and history analysis, based on the impression Gojo creates in the story. What makes Limitless so memorable is not only that it protects him, it creates the feeling of distance itself changing. Someone can seem close to him, but still fail to arrive. Something can seem close enough to touch, but still remain out of reach. That tiny gap is where Gojo starts to feel different from an ordinary human being. The first point is distance. Usually, distance feels simple. We can see whether something is near or far. We can guess whether our hand can reach it. But around Gojo, visible distance and reachable distance do not feel the same. He may be standing right there, in the same scene, almost within normal human range, and yet the last step never arrives. This is why Limitless feels like more than defense. It makes ordinary space stop behaving normally. In Japanese culture, the idea of keke can be useful here. A keke is often imagined as a barrier, but culturally it is not only a wall, it can also be a line that says, beyond this point, the meaning of the space changes. Think of a torii gate. Before and after passing through it, you may still be standing on the same earth, but the space has changed in meaning. A sacred rope can work the same way. It marks an inside and an outside, the ordinary and the special. It does not always stop the body completely. It tells the mind that this is no longer ordinary space. Limitless can be read in a similar way, as an invisible line around Gojo. The viewer senses that there is a boundary, even when there is no solid wall. The second point is depth. Japanese architecture and garden design often guide people through layers. A gate, a garden, a step, a corridor, a curtain, an inner room. These layers do not reveal the center all at once. They make the important place feel deeper. Something can be visible, and still not immediately accessible. Something can be near, and still feel far away because the path toward it is controlled. That sense of depth connects well with Gojo's presence. He can be in front of us. He can talk. He can laugh. But the center of him still feels hard to reach. The distance is not only physical, it is also social, symbolic, and almost sacred. The third point is that a barrier does not only reject people, a boundary can also protect the meaning of what is inside. Shrine grounds, temple interiors, noble residences, and spaces behind curtains all use distance to create status. The line tells the outside world, this place cannot be entered casually. At the same time, that line raises the value of what is inside. Limitless works like that as an impression. It protects Gojo, but it also shapes his rank in the viewer's mind. Because he cannot be reached, he does not feel like only a strong person. He feels like someone placed in a different layer of space. The fourth point is that invisible boundaries can feel stronger than visible ones. If there is a wall, we understand why we cannot pass. But if there is no visible wall, and still we cannot reach the other person, the feeling becomes stranger. Where does the boundary begin? Why does the final distance never close? That uncertainty makes the other person feel even farther away. This is one reason Limitless leaves such a strong impression. The opponent appears to approach. The distance appears to shrink. But at the final point, contact never happens. A tiny space becomes psychologically enormous. So, rather than reading Limitless only as a shield, we can read it as a performance of distance. Close, but unreachable. Present, but separate. Visible, but not fully accessible. Those contradictions make Gojo feel slightly outside the scale of ordinary human space. To summarize, the impression of Limitless is not just defense. It is the distance that cannot be crossed. It is a keke-like line that marks a different kind of space. It is the layered depth of an inner place. And it is the invisible boundary that feels stronger because we cannot fully locate it. When these ideas overlap, the space around Gojo feels impossible to measure by normal human distance. That is why he can be right there, and still feel far away. Next time, we will look at the background of that presence, the Gojo family and Heian noble house culture. Why does Gojo's image feel not only modern and powerful, but also connected to the atmosphere of an old elite house? We will continue from cultural and historical motifs, not as an official explanation,